republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm going to let everybody know I have horrible allergies tonight, so my voice may be coming in and out. I'm sorry about that. Moving on to the roll call here, would you please let the record show that we are all here except for Michelle Cash, and she is on vacation in New York. All right, moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Everyone had a chance to take a look at that?
I would move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
I'll support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on to the approval of the agenda. We do have one deletion on the agenda. It's the Sterling Trail. They asked to be taken from the agenda tonight. So that D in new business is gone.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on. Announcements and communications. Anybody like John,
John,
you got
if I-
anything?
John, if I may,
ahead.
just wanted to, I had two items. One was we had the General Assembly for SEMCOG last week, election of officers and whatnot for the township block. Our county commissioner, Phil Weipert, finished his year as the chair of SEMCOG, so now he has moved to past chair. So it was a good year with him, and he did a good job. The other item I had was I attended the South Intercounty Drain meeting for the southeast portion of the township. The representatives from the drain commissioners or water resource commissioners from Washtenaw, Oakland, and Wayne counties were present. They did vote to move the project forward. It should be noted that there is a 10-day appeals period. So that ends on, I believe, July 9th. And on top of that, too, it is a project that is being fully funded by developers, so nobody in the district is going to be assessed for those improvements.
Very good.
I have one, John.
Go ahead.
As you know, you have two tax bills, the summer and the winter. The summer tax bill went out last Friday. So if you have a mortgage company, you got an informational copy only. Your original bill went to your mortgage, and we'll send you a paid receipt when we receive that dollars from your mortgage company that pays your tax bills. But if anything doesn't look right, if you didn't get your tax bill within the next few days, please call my office here, and we will help you out in getting that bill to you. So.
Great. Thanks. Anyone else?
Oh, in
Go
the
ahead.
taxes went down a little bit. School dropped their millage by 10 cents, and the Headley rollback hit a couple of the community college, the intermediate school district. What else? Set tax is the same. The county kept their millage at 4.04 mills. So you went up a little bit, the cost of living, which was 2.8, but the millage rate went down. So you won't really see a lot of, probably like myself's like $30 increase for the year. So that's all I wanted to report.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to the call to the public. And this is when we'll come up and talk about non-agenda related items. We generally give everyone about 3 minutes to speak, and we generally take no action. It's taken into consideration.
Hello, I'm James Stocking, 29200 Rodiger Court. I'm talking about a water issue. I've been living in the residence for 18 years. Since 2005, we've had water problems. I've dealt with supervisors, board members, engineers, all that are here tonight. I've had meetings in my house, meetings here, meetings in my basements. I would like to see what we can do. Just like the 8 Mile drain, you're gonna fix it without charging them. This is because they added a third community to our privately owned retention pond. We just can't handle it anymore. We're above the flood stage, real close right now. You know, when you get 2 or 3 feet over flood stage, there's problems. My pump, I'm pumping 50, 60 gallons a minute out of my basement, and there's 2 people on the board that's been there and seen that. I would hope I could get something done. You know, I've put in drain fields, I've put in an exterior sump pump, I'm putting in another sump pump now. You know, at the other end of the house, it's just my house can't handle much more. I have a power outage, I'm dead. And my taxes just keep going up and they end up going nowhere. So, you know, I'm not the only one in the community, Roediger Court, that has this problem. We're just half a dozen of us, you know, we can't get nothing done. We're locked. Half the subdivision is peat moss. Water don't go to the new Hudson drain. The other half is sand. I'm in sand. It just sits there. My house sits in this big bowl. You know, I've tried talking about getting a drainage ditch put in. Lanny Young said 80,000. Direct boring, Lisa said 40,000, or Leslie said 40,000. I don't have that kind of money. You know, it's because the third subdivision in this privately owned retention pond, when it got put in, Lauren Crandall swore up and down there was an outlet on this pond. There isn't. We told them that. And it wasn't corrected then. They took 35 of us and hauled us into one of the back rooms out of one of these meetings, installed us for the 3-year time limit. You know, we need to have something done. It's just a matter of time. It's been 10 years. I'm hoping you guys can help me out.
All right. Thank you. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Dave Middleton. I live a neighbor of Jim Stocking.
Okay.
Live in Roediger Estates, 59-100 Anna Drive. So we're in the same valley of this low water table where this pond is and an issue. So we're having the same issues that he is. We can't handle all the water coming in our basements. It just didn't start. This isn't fresh this year. Mine started in January 2nd. But it was running slow. Then it picks up. And every time it rains, that pond fills up. It takes 24 to 36 hours. And then it starts running faster. But anyways, that pond just keeps getting bigger and bigger, so I don't know where to go. It's just like a big bathtub filling up. Original plans showed a drain line that they were going to run south, but somebody vetoed it, said, well, we shouldn't need that, and blah, blah, blah. It never got put in. So now some homeowners are paying for it. And it shouldn't be the job of a few homeowners to pump out that pond via their sump pumps. That's not right. And we're kind of a prisoner in our house. It's hard to leave sometimes, and sometimes you can't go somewhere for the weekend or whatever. It's a bad situation. What are you going to sell our house for? And if this was happening in any of your guys' houses, it would be a bad deal. You would realize what we're going through.
I don't think it would be any different. Not in my house, anyway. It would be.
If you were living with this situation, I mean, it's costing sleep and.
You know, I've been working on this, and you guys know I've been working on this, but we get to a point where there's really, I'm not sure what we can do. We've offered a few suggestions, and I mean, Leslie's been out there. We paid money to have her go out there and look at some different options for you, but I just don't know where we can do anything as a township board. I'm just not sure how we could do anything to alleviate that situation. I
Well,
don't know.
that pond needs to be controlled, the level of it. That needs to be controlled. Whenever it goes down, our sump pumps stop. It's all relevated with that pond level. You get a topographical map, it'll show where we're at. Jim and I are in the same boat.
When was that all okayed? I think we talked at one time, Mr. Stocking and Mrs. Stocking, I think you said it was like 2003? 2005. And that was through what, Giffords and Webster said that the pond on the other side was built large enough to take the flow and.
Right. What happened, from the records that I have, the Roediger was designed and approved as a plat. Now typical developments are approved as single
Leslie,
family.
could you pull the mic up a little
Oh, I'm
bit?
sorry.
Really can't hear.
It might, is it on?
Yeah, it's on. I think it is. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you
Okay.
go.
So Roediger was approved as a plat, and in the original plat documents, it shows that it was the pond itself, the pond you're referring to, was designed to handle the land that eventually turned into Arbors of Lion. The tricky part is when Arbors of Lion was proposed during the site plan, it showed a discharge directly to the New Hudson drain, not to Roediger. Sometime between site plan and detailed engineering, the plan changed, and and I'm not sure if that's because the design engineer of Arbors discovered that in the plat, that it was actually, the pond was sized at that time to take the land that Arbors of Lion developed. It was changed and it was approved. I'm very familiar with this. I've met with the Stockings and some of your other neighbors. I don't think I've met with you personally, but I know my project manager, John, I think, met with you.
Right.
And we came up with a few solutions that I could think of that might be options for you. The first one would probably be a special assessment district. And it would be the residents of Roediger as well as Arbors of Lion to actually modify that pond at this point. And Carol Rosati, the attorney's here too, so feel free to jump in, Carol, if I misspeak. The other one, if you wanted to do it just yourselves, you might be able to do a drain tile deep enough that it would take the groundwater directly to the New Hudson drain, and you could privately permit that through the road commission and the drain office and not involve the township or your neighbors. There's a couple of ideas. That wouldn't be draining the pond, that's just a few different options that you would
No, we
have.
don't need to drain the pond, it just needs to be lowered, controlled, so it doesn't just keep elevating.
No, I'm just saying if you wanted like a cheaper option, that would be one where you could just pipe from your basements to the drain directly. Do an excavation project, but it would still have to go through permitting of those agencies.
My sump pump can't handle it, it's coming out of the crock, outside of the crock, in the seams.
What I'm trying to say is outside your home, if it was excavated down, it might provide relief to the groundwater, to the drain. There has been
Who's gonna
talk,
pay for that?
I'm just giving you,
I didn't cause this problem,
Okay, well, here.
the first 10 years we lived there, it
Okay,
never
Dave.
ran at all.
Here's the thing, a call to the public, we generally don't get into any debate or any situation, but this has been going on a long time. I'd like the board to hear what's happening. We can't get into arguments or back and forth in this part of the meeting. Okay, so we're just trying to offer some things up, and then possibly we could go from here at another date, but at least the board is on.
I'd like to
is
get
on
something
board.
started for a fix. We need a fix that we can have normal lives in our homes.
Well, I'm just telling you, that's kind of what, it's nice to get it out through the board, everybody understands, because it has been a long-going thing, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't. So,
Control the level of that pond.
yeah.
I've been there since '86, and original homeowners, and you used to walk out in the summertime
But
and
you
probably
see,
not
we
get your
can't-
feet wet in that pond.
But the whole thing is we can't just control the pond depth if we don't understand if that's the cause. If we were to put a bunch of money and we did that, I mean, it would have to be a big engineering situation, so we would understand if the pond was lowered, maybe that might help you, but we don't know that. We don't know that as a board here.
I don't have any groundwater data from prior to when Arbors of Lion was developed. I don't have any scientific data saying when they connected, it caused the situation. I understand you've lived there a long time, but I'm looking for engineering science. I can only provide possible solutions to alleviate the problem, and there are some, but they all have a cost. And so those are the next steps. There's,
Let me just say this, this kind of a form is not gonna get us anywhere, okay, it won't. The only thing I could suggest is if they wanna get on an agenda item for the next month, and then the board could hash it out and understand exactly what's going on. We could make it an item, and you guys could come in here and pitch the case and let the board talk about it. I mean, I think that would go further than what we're doing right now, because we're not gonna get anywhere doing
Yeah,
this.
well, we need to start somewhere, so,
Can we do that? Can we add this to the?
Well, that was my suggestion.
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do was maybe make an agenda item in the August meeting. I'm sorry, I'm plugged and I'm barely talking, but, and maybe go from there. That would be your start.
I think though there has to be an understanding that, I mean, this is a private system, okay, this system is not under the township's jurisdiction. So it's, it's not like the township can expend township funds to repair your private system. I think the township's more than willing to try to work with you to see what could happen, but ultimately, the money can't come from the township unless it's through the form of an SAD where they're simply financing and you're paying back. I mean, are there homeowners associations in both?
We don't have homeowner association right where we're at. It was not started
They
when,
do?
after I moved in.
And in their association, they're responsible for their.
Have you gone to meet with their board? I would suggest you try to do that ASAP and see what kind of response you get.
This is a private system.
It's a-
How did the third system get tapped into it?
Because it was initially designed to take not only the Arbors of Lion land, but additional land as well. That's how it was designed, and from an engineering perspective, it is meeting those
With-
design criteria.
with
Okay,
an outlet.
wait, no, and I'm not gonna argue with you about the stuff, but I'm making a suggestion to you that, I would think it'd be worthwhile before you come back to the board to try to meet with that homeowners association. Talk to them, see if they're having issues, see if there's something that the two of your groups can get together and try to address. So, it's just a suggestion. But
Their elevation is probably 10 foot higher than our homes, so
Yeah.
they're dry as a bone. We're getting all the runoff. It rains 1 inch, you get 3 inches in that pond
Yeah,
from all the extra input that's coming into it.
but I think, you've made that statement, I think you need to go make that statement to that homeowners association. You know what I'm saying, so.
Well,
but-
they
but
should,
I
they
just-
should know that the maintenance of that pond forever is theirs too. It's
Theirs
not
too.
just
That-
yours.
that's
They would
the-
have to show if it's a X number of dollar cost, they're gonna share in it like anyone else in a private system.
Yeah, because they're benefiting from
That's
using
correct.
it.
Absolutely.
So
That's
that's,
correct.
that's
They
why
are
I would
using it,
suggest
you're
you
right.
do that as soon as you can, but again, I want you to understand, I mean, we wanna try to work with you to help you come up with something, but we can't spend township funds on a private system.
Well, we need to
So-
know where to start. We need to get something done, so.
But that would be my suggestion, to do that first and then come back to us and let us know how that went. I mean, if they're willing to work with you to try to come up with something, and maybe if they are willing to work with you, the proper route might be to do the SAD, if they're willing to spread it across all the properties. So, that's something to explore.
Then Oakland County, about 10 years ago, tapped underneath Pontiac Trail. We didn't realize it at the time. And so we're getting runoff just from regular rainwater dumped into the pond also. Oakland County did that. So
We can
there's a
check-
number of
we can
things
check
running
on
into
that.
that pond, and we're
We can
getting.
check on that, Leslie, can't we?
Yeah, and the township, Melanie probably has the HOA contact, I would imagine, for Arbors.
Maybe.
Melanie, she
Yeah.
works at the front desk here during the day.
Well, I think to move this forward, I do think that if you'd be willing to go and talk to that other homeowners association, find out what they have to say, whether it's good or bad, and then we'll put you on the agenda, and we'll actually have a talk about it here.
Can we invite them to be there too, the other neighborhood to be here as well?
Oh, yeah,
So,
it's open,
okay.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'd like to encourage them to be here, not just invite them. I mean, anyone's invited, but encourage them to be here because this is gonna
So can you
involve them.
notify them somehow about this?
Well,
or-
I think,
Yeah, I can
That's
talk
what
to
you're-
Melanie
Yeah.
for the August 5th meeting.
if
Do you
that,
have
think
time
it's the
maybe to
5th.
meet with them before August 5th, or would you like to move it to the following month?
Well, as soon as possible,
I mean, I guess what Carol's saying is if you could meet with them first,
Try to meet with them first. Sit
And
down
then
and
let
talk
us
about
know
the
what they
issues you're
say.
having. Tell them we're gonna be putting it on as a board agenda item, see
I
what
don't
they
know
have
if
to
you
say.
could find, would they have their HOA meetings or whatever, and then you show up
Yeah.
there and tell them what you've got going, and, put them on notice that they are using your pond, and you guys need some help.
is there a group, or do you know a name of somebody who's in charge of that?
We should be able
We
to
can
get
find
that.
that for you. We can definitely find that for you, Dave. If you got Dave's number, can you just give your phone number to Kelly,
Okay,
and then I'll have Melanie look for that and get back to you with a name
all right.
of the homeowner.
Regina has it, but she's on
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah, she's,
Well,
We can
we'll
get you
make
the
sure get
contact.
it.
yeah,
And then you could start it there, I like that, and then we can make an agenda portion of the meeting, and we can bring you in and we can talk about it.
And if you need any copies of plans, I have the background information on Arbors and how it was approved.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you my card
Got a
too.
lot of stuff.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, thank you, Dave, I appreciate that. Just leave your phone number, please.
Thanks for listening to me.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
My sub pump
How
hasn't
you doing?
stopped at all
Good.
either.
Philip Govin, 29240 Road Digger Court. And here we are again in a beautiful day outside, battling this water thing again. Because you guys wouldn't do it. You guys wouldn't live like this, vacuuming water off your basement floors.
Well, Phil,
We-
if you
we-
don't
we-
know,
we
we
know
got
it's
it.
we
We're
know
gonna
it's the
try to do
pond.
something to help
We
you.
know it's the pond. Everybody say, oh, no, it's this, it's that.
Okay.
Jim's got the measurements right there. Look at his chart. It's the pond, fix it. Someone screwed up, fix it. Right?
Wow.
Right?
We're gonna try to help.
It's not that simple.
It's not
I
that
d-
simple.
I-
I'm a backwoods mechanic. I figured it out. Pump it down. Prove us wrong. We're sick of it, man. Pump the pond down. Prove me wrong.
I don't think that we know what the cause is yet. How
We-
much-
I do.
Can I ask you how much maintenance in the time you've lived there, your association's
Jim.
done on that pond? Has there been any maintenance whatsoever in the last 30 years in
We
that
pay
pond?
taxes,
And if
man.
so, what is the maintenance? I mean,
We all
you're,
pay
you're,
taxes.
you're making accusations right now, and we don't know, and we're trying to get
I
answers.
know how high the pond is,
but-
how much
but
my sump
We're
pump
trying to
costs.
resolve
hey,
this,
we-
and you're
we've
getting
dealt with
excited,
it.
and I know it.
Let's not elevate
We've
this.
dealt with it, man.
Hey.
We've dealt
Sure.
with it.
Hey,
We're
we're not
done.
gonna elevate this, Phil.
Fix it. We pay taxes. Fix it.
We all pay
We're
taxes.
working on it.
We're
Okay,
gonna
someone
do the
screwed
best we
up. Fix
can.
it. This is we're getting the runaround. They've been getting the runaround. Vacuuming the floor every 2 hours.
Okay, keep it down. Let's not get
No,
elevated speech
I'm
here.
sorry,
We're
but-
trying to be good. We're trying to be respectful. Let's keep it that way.
You know, we pay a lot of money to live there, man.
I got you. And we're gonna try to help, but you have to understand, we can't use taxpayers' money to fix private
not?
systems. Because we'd have to fix everybody's private system in the
You
township.
guys wouldn't live like this.
You don't make an accusation like that. You don't know
You
that.
don't know.
You really don't know who lives like what. You don't.
Would you guys vacuum your floor every 2 hours?
Well,
Worry about your sump pump quitting in the middle of the night?
Patty's runs night and day.
Mine runs night and day.
We're
I
all
just got
sand.
another new battery
Why does it
backup.
take 3
My
days?
basement has flooded 4 times.
Well,
So
we're all saying, we
I'm
know the
low.
source.
I'm low in my subdivision. I live in a subdivision just like you do, over by Irwin's Apple Orchard. Constantly, what am I constantly battling? The water in my basement.
Like I said, pump the pond
So
down, prove me
I'm
wrong.
just telling you, I
Pump
don't
it
come
down.
to my,
It's
to
not
myself.
the township's responsibility
It's not, we
to
pay
pump.
taxes.
You don't pay taxes for us to maintain your private stormwater system.
So we can pump it ourselves.
You can do whatever you want with it. You're supposed to be maintaining it.
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to be maintaining it.
Okay, well, this is not, it can't go on like this. We made
Well, I
a
was told.
suggestion, we made a
It's not the
suggestion.
pond, it's not the pond, it's not the pond. Pump it down,
Okay,
prove me wrong, and I'll
well-
shut up.
It's not up to us to prove you wrong.
Well, that's what I want.
But it's not up to us to pay the money to prove you wrong. That's what we're trying to tell you.
We want to help you figure this out, and
Okay.
we want
We're
to put it
trying
on
to tell you that.
putting it on the agenda
I'm-
for next month.
My sump pump
Can
stopped.
I, let me finish for a second. We're gonna put it on the agenda for next month. We're gonna try to bring your neighbors across the other side of the street in and have a discussion about this. But I don't know that we can point to an exact cause. So you think you know the reason why your basement's flooding, but what's the cause?
The pond's too high.
Okay, well, we've
Bottom
got to
line.
cut this
And so
conversation.
that's,
Hey,
we've got a
guess,
little,
you know who it affects the worst? Dave, because he's right at the very end.
and I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yep.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, his floor flexed when he stepped on it the other day and water spit up.
Okay.
Basement floor. What do you think that's doing under the foundation?
We got it. We got it. We're listening. We have it.
Okay.
We're gonna put you on
All
the
right,
agenda. We're
they've
gonna
been getting
talk
the
about it.
runaround, man.
Okay, well, they're not. They're here. Okay? So we've got to call this end.
fix it. Just
We got
fix
to
it.
end it this way.
Someone screwed up, fix it.
Good evening.
Mike Podrasky, 59161 Anna Drive. I'm in the subdivision,
Okay?
and they're my neighbors. I've been there 33 years, and I deal with this all the time. It doesn't have to be this way, okay? Now, all the discussions that we've had and everything, I mean, I've been living this for a long time, and I'm looking at it through my own eyes. And the problem is, the water in that pond comes from up above, goes through the pond. It's got to go through all of our basement sump pumps to get out to the Lion Drain. If it had been done originally correctly when they built that sub on the hill, the water should have been piped underground straight to the drain and bypass all of our sump pumps. But that's not the way it was done, and that's what we got to deal with now. We're dealing with personalities, but we're dealing with water, okay? It's been suggested that we meet with the homeowners association of that other subdivision, and that's probably where we should go with it from there.
Well, I really believe that that's a good starting point to see what they say, whether they say yes, no, or whatever. And then at least we can meet again. You've tried that, and it can help us force the issue.
We're looking for solutions,
I got that,
and
but,
this is about where we're at with it right now,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we're all acknowledging that there's a problem.
well,
And that's-
we're acknowledging, we're trying to help you fix what your
Okay.
problem is.
It'd be nice if we didn't have to run all of their water through our sump pumps
I
to
got
send
it.
it out there again.
Believe me, we understand what you're saying.
Can that be done? Can that be pumped or piped underground from the subdivision, bypass everything? You gotta cut across several property lines there, you gotta get machinery in there, you gotta get people to pay for it, you gotta deal with contractors and builders and whatever.
I don't know that. We'll figure stuff out. We just have to go from here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks for hearing us
Thank you.
out. You acknowledge there's a problem, we're gonna try to work on it, and we'll be back.
Come on back. It's an
Thanks.
open public meeting. Anyone else like to stand up? Come on up. How you doing, Mindy?
Hi, I'm Mindy Fernandez, and I'm the Legislative Director for State Representative Kathy Crawford. Just wanted to come by, say hi. Haven't been here in a couple months. I broke my foot, so it's kind of out of commission, but glad to be back. Took a great tour with Supervisor Dolan of the new water facility, and I'm very excited for you guys to bring that technology to the people of South Lyon, or Lyon Township, sorry. Thank you so much.
You can tell I wasn't very excited, right?
Oh, he was, I think he might have been jumping up and down, seriously, so he was very excited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, anyone else like to step up? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna move on to reports. Well, Tina is not here, so we'll just scrap the DDA report and move on to fire. Chief? How you doing, Chief Barry?
Get one water business out of the way real quickly. If I could have Tyler Best come up. Tyler is one of our newer firefighters. He came to us about just over a year ago. Came to us fully trained. He had a little bit of experience with the Brighton and Howell Fire Department. Came to us, and after he came to us again fully trained, but after going through the probationary period and all his in-house training, Tyler has earned the privilege to wear the fire department, or Lyon Township Fire Department firefighter badge.
Oh.
Tyler's joined by, and I apologize, I'm going to screw up your name, but Michelina? Got it. Michelina's girlfriend, his mom, Claudia, and his dad, Dale. Dale will be pinning his badge. Dale's a retired member of the Madison Heights Fire Department and currently a member of the Howell Fire Department. So, Dad, do the honors. Thank you.
Perfect.
Welcome to the family, Tyler. On another note of business, we've been working on the burn building, have the second floor almost complete. We'll be able to use it for smoke training and search and rescue training. I won't be able to use it for live fire training until we get the outside stairways done, but right now we're pretty close to almost having the burn building completely done, with the exception of that. Still working on the ladder truck, have the specs pretty close to completion. Should be bringing that to the board here probably in August, September, depending on how things time out. Had a fire the other night, Sunday morning actually, about 5 a.m. down off the Napier Road. Crews did a great job. A fire started at the refrigerator. Crews did a great job, got the fire out quickly with just under 500 gallons of water, and were able to save the homeowner a lot of heartache and expense. One thing that the chief wanted me to mention is that we are in a bit of a staffing concern, I will say. Summertime is normally a very light time for our people. People taking vacations and kids sporting events and things of that nature. So our shifts usually run a little bit light in the summertime. And we also just found out that 6 of our firefighters have been accepted to the Detroit Fire Academy. 2 of those are 22 of our 24-hour people. We're not sure when they'll be going to the academy. Some may be going as early as the end of July. Some may be pushed back to January. So I know he's talked to the board members, several board members, about staffing and things of that nature, and he may want to move that up and kind of move on that much quicker than we'd originally anticipated. So just wanted to let you know about that. So, all righty?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Lieutenant, you got anything for us?
Good evening, everybody.
How you doing?
The only thing I have this month is kind of misspoke last month, or Sergeant Burwell kind of took the information that he got from the company that wants to give us the, excuse me, our speed sign. We thought, what way he understood is that they were going to let us try it and use it and do all that stuff, but that wasn't the case. It was, they would bring it out to the station and show us all the capabilities, which really doesn't let us. So what I'm gonna do, I got the numbers for that. I'm waiting for them to get me the numbers for the radar device. And then next month I'll have the whole thing for everybody to look at. So that's where we stand with that.
And that's pretty portable, so it's easy for one
It-
person to go
yes,
out and
it-
set up somewhere with.
It goes, Wolverine Lake has, if you have a chance, if you're out and about, Wolverine Lake has one, the exact same thing on Glengarry. Now, do you know where their municipality offices are?
Roughly, yes.
It's just before the offices if you're headed eastbound.
Okay,
They've got one up on a pole there, and it's exactly what we're looking at.
okay.
So if you're out that way or have a chance in between now and then, just to drive by and look at it, that's the same thing that we're looking at. It's nice, and it's not, it may take two,
Sure.
but
What's the rough cost on it? Do you
I'm
know,
sure.
ballpark?
They gave us two prices with a cart. If we did a pull behind, it's like 6,000, or just a little over 6. And for just the sign itself with the solar panel and all the electronic stuff, it's a little over 3.
Okay,
So, and it'll fit in the back of a car or one of the Suburbans or the Tahoes, and then we just have to find a pole to put it on, and we can leave it up. And I'm sure the road commission would help us out, so we could put it up a little higher, so we don't have to worry about vandalism or whatever. It's just finding somewhere to place it.
okay.
So, but hopefully, I'll have it by August. I don't know why everybody's on vacation, I'm sure, and that's why she hasn't gotten back with me, but I want to put both of them in so we can get both at the same time.
Sure.
If anybody has any questions?
I just wanted to say thank you to your department. It seems like every once in a while I have a deputy helping out for my family, but about a couple weeks ago, my daughter's car blew its engine, and the vehicle was going to be towed, and I definitely appreciate that your deputy on shift that day came by to my house before towing it away. So I don't know that we could have that level of service in many other communities, but it was highly appreciated that I did not have to pay that tow. And
Yeah,
that
it's
they
nice.
they did come to the house and say, hey, you gotta move this before we move it for you. But I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
we try to do that. Especially if it's a township resident, before we do anything, we'll try to make contact. And then depending on where they are or where they live, even if they're outside the area.
I learned how to flat tow pretty quickly,
yeah.
so I do appreciate, though, that, I don't know that I would have had that kind of experience in another community, and I definitely appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
And I didn't get the guy's name, otherwise I would have, given him a plug, but I'm sure any one of them would have done the same
No,
thing.
tow bills aren't cheap, we realize that.
I know.
They're not. They're very expensive.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Moving on to Planning Commission. Patty.
Okay, we had 2 planning commission meetings in the month of June. The first one was June 10th. We held a public hearing for the swimming pool text amendment, which is on our agenda. We also had old business. Under old business, we had Hampton Manor of Lyon Township site plan review. That was approved. And then also their special land use was recommended to the board. We also had the Belmont Park site plan, and that also was approved. And then we also had the special land use, which was recommended to the township board. We had Aspen Trails, formerly known as Aspen Gate, That came to the board and that was approved, their site plan, or final, that was their final review. Then under new business, we approved the healthy urgent care plan, and then that was all we had for that meeting. It was busy. We were here pretty late. And then we had our second meeting, which was June 24th. We had no public hearings. We had on our agenda Action Sports and Community Center site plan review. That was approved. The Feldman Auto Body Shop came in for special land use, and that was recommended to the Township Board. Actually, a very nice plan. We also had the Feldman Auto Body Shop site plan review, and that was approved. And we also saw Pearl, that's Lyon Township Senior Living, their site plan review was approved. And that was our meeting, 2 meetings.
Had a lot of stuff going
Very
on.
busy, very busy. Planning Commission's very busy.
CBA, Lise, anything?
We had a meeting on June 17th. It was regarding a lot split, and there were quite a few conditions that needed to be ironed out, and it was tabled, and I'm not sure if, we'll have that come back in July, but I'm not sure if the applicant is actually going to pursue that.
Yeah, we haven't received any additional information at this time, so it will sit on the table.
Okay. Park Advisory Board, Robert, anything going on there, bud?
A little bit. We generally we're looking at some the possibility of looking into some MOUs to formalize the relationship between different groups using and fundraising parkland. Also looking at working with McKenna coming up here on the capital improvement plan revisions for the Parks and Rec sections. We'll be doing that next month. As far as Atchison Park goes, we recommended the replacement of the disc golf collection box as well as topping off the mulch at the play area up here at Bob's recommendation. As far as 11 Mile, in case everyone doesn't know, the donor has agreed to tentatively push out the deadline for construction of the play area since it's going through some things out of our control. And I guess just happy to point out that coming up later on your agenda in the Aspen Trails PD is a contribution to that, both in terms of general money and trees for the site. So.
Okay.
Right.
Very good.
Yeah.
Bob, DPW, anything going on?
Got a couple things, John. Our generator went in at Kensington Manufactured Housing Community, which services a pretty large area for the sanitary system. That got finished last week. We're keeping up on the watering of the gardens at Abbey Park, keeping the reservoirs filled for our residents to use there. Filled them again today. The sidewalks along 11 Mile are going in as the trees are being removed. And with that said, I can speak to the water system, but Ed's going to do that next. So that's that I finish my review.
Okay, thank you, Bob. All right, that concludes our reports. We're gonna move on to unfinished business. First item, Artesia the Pioneer.
Good evening.
Hi,
How you doing, Ed?
Hi. So let's start at South Hill. Moving along very nicely now that it doesn't rain every day. And we've got the footers in the building. The Clearwell slab is poured. The detention tank slab is poured. We'll probably be setting walls on those two tanks right after the holiday here. We're going to pour the floor in the South Hill plant, at least half of it, starting tomorrow. So that one's moving along really good. I got the hydrogeologist in measuring that well field so that we can upsize those pumps when we eventually shut down, and I can never remember the name of them, Carriage Club and Tanglewood. So the goal is to shut those two down and expand South Hill as far as volume. On the tower, we're just hoping and praying for a calm day on July 8th. It's all ready to set up there, and once we get this next step done, it will go fairly quickly. You'll see it progress quite nicely. Not much can stop us after we get the base up there. I don't know if you saw pictures I passed around via email, but it's quite a task to take that pan and set it up on top of the pedestal and get it in place. And so we need a nice calm day to do it, and hopefully that's going to happen in the week of July 8th. We're ready to make it happen. All we need now is a good day. So that'll happen. We'll pour that cap. Once the cap's poured, the tank will start going up, and people will say, "Oh, there's a water tower there." Okay, and and not anytime too soon, because I've been at Woodwind all day. I'm going back there tonight to backwash some filters. We're running that baby full throttle right now. Right now, when I left, it was running at 3,200 gallons a minute, which is 4.6 million gallons a day. It's doing its thing, performing nicely, but we are stressing it right now with all the dry weather now, and everybody sprinkling their grass and so forth. So needs a little tender, loving care during these peak times. Keep in mind, we're running the entire township off that one system right now, where before, we're trying not to turn the wells on at South Hill, because we don't want to reintroduce iron into the system or any manganese or anything. So our goal is to treat the water and keep it going at Woodwind as efficiently as possible, and excuse me. So that plant will produce, 5.5 MGD, and until we reach a day that's over that peak, we should be fine. And meanwhile, we'll just keep watch on it and make sure it operates at peak capacity. Any questions?
Anybody?
I'm going to be over there tonight.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and backwash those other two banks, so we're ready to go in the morning. And so if you need anything, give me a call.
All right.
Okay.
You stayed here tonight? You stayed here?
I'm probably sleeping in my truck, but yes.
Okay.
Give him a key, you can sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
Room here.
No, I want to watch it tonight, because our early mornings are a tough time, and Anthony was here at 4 this morning, and I'll just stay through until my guys get here tomorrow. Make sure we're in good shape now, because I got it peaked up now, and we're running pretty well. We're only about we're only about 3 feet from the overflows on the tower right now, so we're in really good shape right now. It's just when everybody turns their sprinklers on in the morning, it hits it hard. So we'll be ready. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks.
And we had some brown water problems because of the flows jumping so fast. It's still shaking the pipes up in the structure, so there's a few brown water issues, but they're very slow. Not many. You had some in your subdivision. I think Bob went over and flushed that line. It took a lot of iron out of it.
I think tomorrow there's a flush too.
There is.
Right, a bigger
Now,
flush?
there is, but it's going to be a minor one.
Afternoon till we top our towers off, so we have plenty of water on hand, and then we're going to go.
Yeah, they're using so much water in the morning, it's like crazy. Okay, let's move on to new business. Consideration of the agreement, assignment for the school resource officer. I believe we're all familiar with this contract. I think it's pretty much the same as last year.
It
The
is.
monies are the same,
I read it over.
but
and,
I know there's some questions.
Well, I'm
So-
just saying, I worked with Amy on this last year. Amy's no longer there, but they have another, we actually got these from Melissa this time. But, the officers, I think the dollar amount went up a little bit, cause the cost of living or whatever the sheriff's department got, but it is, they are exactly the same, contracts as we had the year before.
And I think everyone has seen the letter that Melissa Baker, the nice letter she sent to everyone was, they are so happy with the Oakland County Sheriffs, they can't even, they're happy, very happy. They do a lot for them, and, so I guess we'll open it up for conversation. I know that a few of you had some questions on this, so I don't know if, Lieutenant, you could answer them, or?
Yeah, I had asked Lieutenant Venus just to start roughly, I guess just ballpark numbers. It's roughly $136,000 a year for a deputy. When you figure out what the when you figure out the time that the deputies are in a school during the course of the year, it's roughly $105,000. And let me start by saying I think this is a great program, and you guys are doing a great job. I've heard nothing but excellent feedback. We hear sometimes when bad things happen or people are unhappy. We don't often hear when they're really happy, but in this case, they're happy, and I've certainly heard quite a bit of that. So I do appreciate the job that you're all doing together for all of our kids.
Thank you.
First and foremost, obviously, the 3 months that roughly that the kids aren't in school, those 3 deputies come back and patrol
Correct.
the township streets. So it seems to me it's pretty fair that we pick up that cost. And it's a busy time during the summer. People are traveling. You've got those folks to help cover shifts. Probably keep some of the overtime down. I haven't bring people in, so it's probably a net good thing. We get more people on the road during busy times, so I'm thrilled to have the 3 of them back on patrol during the summer months. So that's first and foremost. I have no issue with that. The school district is covering the cost completely of the Millennium and Centennial shared SRO.
Correct.
Again, we pick up the difference, which is about $21,000, give or take, for the summer.
For the 3, correct.
For the 3. That's great. Last year, I know that I don't remember our exact contribution. You and I talked about how many of the kids are township residents. It's roughly 50%.
It's a little over. Yeah, I got
52%.
breakdowns if you wanted it, as far
Sure.
as students in each school. The district has totally, the entire student body is 7,524 students. That's through elementary all the way through high school. Of that number, 3,959 are township residents. I have the breakdowns from all the other cities too, if there's a particular city that you would like to know. The next largest is the city of South Lyon. In the elementaries, we have 2,017 kids. They have 704 kids. The middle school, 946 are township residents, 447 are city of South Lyon. In the high schools, which is East and South Lyon High, there's 996, and the city has 447. So we're a little over, and then added into this is Green Oaks, Northfield Township, which is very little, Salem, and that's it. Did I say Green Oak? Yeah. Green Oak Township.
So last year, I don't remember our exact contribution, but I know Salem and the city of South Lyon contributed, and I think that everybody
20
kind of,
each.
pardon?
20 each, I think.
20 or?
25 the city did, and then Salem did 20. And they're the
Okay.
next second to the bottom as far as student body.
So what we had in our information were contracts that obligated the school district for the 2 high schools to pay for 50% of the $104,520.
Correct.
And it doesn't really break out the rest of the cost, but, I want to continue with the program, but I don't want to pay everybody's share. My feeling would be that we would pay half or 52, whatever the exact percentage is, I'm fine with, and can round up a couple students. But I mean, I don't think that we should pay the remaining, if the school district's paying 104,000 and some change, we should not be using all of our taxpayer dollars to pay for the balance of all of this, because I don't think that that's equitable. So I would be supportive of this, but I would be supportive to the tune of 54,000, which is just over half the cost, whatever the exact, I didn't have time to do the math at just getting these figures, but whatever that dollar amount is, $55,000, I would be in full support of funding it to that level, but I would like to see the SRO stay at both schools, both high schools. So I would be supportive of funding half of that half at one and half of that half at another. So we're not back to just having one at East, and we're not just having one at Southline High School, that, we pay for half of each of that half, of that community shared half, and this is up to the school district to determine how they'd like to fund the rest of it.
I think how we got at this is, obviously everybody after Parkland down in Florida, districts all over the country were wanting to put SROs in their buildings. And we stepped up and we offered. And we said, we want to take care of our kids and let's do it. And then the city came along and they did their contribution, and then Salem came along and they totally understood, which offset that cost a little bit. I know Melissa has reached out to every community in the district already to try to see if anybody's interested. And last time I talked to her, she hadn't heard back from anybody, so that's not to say that
Sure.
that they're not going to. But my opinion in these times, I mean, it's being a father and a resident of the township too. I know my kids aren't in school anymore, but it's awfully hard to put a price tag on something like that. And you're hoping that people will these communities will step up and say, yeah, we understand, we want to help share the cost with everybody.
Sure.
Because our kids are just as important.
Sure.
So, in my opinion, I really want to see the program move forward, and hopefully we can get some of these other communities to get on board with us. And
Yeah, I agree, and I'm a dad, and two of my kids go to two of these four schools. So I couldn't agree with you more. I want them there, but when we approved it last year, I defended the position that we paid more than, the first year at East, we paid it completely when there was just one at East. Well, it's not just Lyon Township kids that go to East, but we paid for it all.
Right.
Last year, we paid for more than our 50 or 52 or 53%. No issue with that, but I think until the other communities have had a chance to consider this, it's hard for me just to commit $105,000 right now, plus then the summer, the summertime time on top of it. For the people who are residents here, because it's hard to put a dollar figure on. That's not really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, I guess, push back a little bit to see. It's July. The kids come back in September.
Yeah.
We have August to figure this out still, and I would I don't know if, I'm good with moving ahead at a prorated share today, but I'd rather, quite honestly, table it and go back to the school district and ask them to try to either fund more of this. This is, they could possibly add more dollars to this to kind of cut down on. They're getting funding from everybody. So really, when the school spends money, they're spending all of the taxpayers' money in the district. So for it to all come from them would really probably be the most equitable way of doing it. But we're trying to help them. We've been helping them for a couple of years now. But I'd certainly like to.
I think if I'm not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at East we always, because Tom's been there for,
Yep.
So we've done that, and we didn't. Nothing else was ever considered. We just considered it being in Lyon Township. Where we stepped up is the high school. And for
Right.
that little bit of time at the middle school, we helped out, but because that was when that happened in Florida, it was like mid-school year, so, or a little more than mid. But we stepped up and took care of it so we could get the officers in there right away. But for the school year last year, they picked up the entire cost, like you said, for the middle school, and where we're stepping up is for the high school in the city.
Right.
Is where that's where more of our township dollars are going.
Sure. in the last 2 years, I haven't had a huge problem with the inequity or an inequity, but I don't think that, I think it's hard to say that we're just going to pay 100% of this share. I mean, I think we have to go back and ask the school district what they will do to help close this gap if we're adding officers to be, in the school. Again, I support it, and I don't know how to say this without, I don't know if I'm saying this in a way that comes across that I am supportive of it, because I still want to support this program, but I think it's fair to ask, because this is the first time we're all talking about this, since last summer. And last summer we had other communities contributing, significant chunks, and
They haven't changed, have they?
I don't know.
I was just
Last
gonna
time
say,
I
I don't
talked to
know.
Melissa.
Last year we
We
knew
don't know,
this.
and I don't think she knew, because that letter just went out. You got the same one, and
Well, let me ask you this. Do we have a budget number for this? I mean, did we budgeted for this in your budget last
Yes.
year?
I
And you
totally
for the full
budgeted just
amount?
for us, the full amount.
So I look at it this way. We brought this up last year. It was exactly the same. And now we've got our police officers in there. They're doing a great job. And now we're going to take the chance of turning it sideways. We budgeted for it. I mean, you know what? I have no kids in school, but I cherish every child. And why would we even why would we start scrutinizing this now? I would say, why don't we pass this, get it on here, then ask them for contributions. It's good for Lyon Township to stand up to the plate. If nobody else wants to.
Yeah, and John, it's not like I don't cherish every child. Like I said, 2 of my 3 children are in 2 of these 4 schools. It means more to me, as much or more to me than the average parent.
But that's what I'm saying. Why do we want to take a chance to screw this all up?
Well,
I don't know
think
that,
I don't.
I don't know that that's where we're at.
I think that Sean's made a pretty good point that maybe we do, I'm sure perhaps this is a surprise to the other communities that we weren't gonna, or that we were even talking about not contributing the full amount. I mean, we haven't even heard from anybody. There's no subcommittee, there's no discussion as far as a group of people from the township and from Green Oak and the city of South Lyon and the school district. We haven't had a chance to really have a meeting with all of those groups, and so perhaps tabling it and having Melissa reach out, that might be the better option. Both of my kids, they're both at South Lyon High School, and I think that I have a strong opinion about it, because I know that if it went back to the old way of, well, one of the possible ways, we'll have a South Lyon East officer, because that's located in the township, and the township will fund that. My kids don't go to South Lyon East, and I can't school of choice my children to South Lyon East High School, because the school district won't allow me to do that. So my township tax dollars are funding a resource officer that my children don't have the benefit of. So when I look at, I teach in a high school, everybody on the board knows that. I enjoy having a school resource officer in my workplace. And I've never seen, not that I've analyzed every SRO program, but I've never seen a situation where it didn't just fall to the municipality where the school is housed. And we ended up in this position because we were willing to put in an SRO, and the city did not have that. They did not, at that point, perhaps didn't have the money. I don't know what their situation was, but we stepped up, given the circumstances and the timing, that we had to act, and I think we all were in agreement on that. But in my district, we have 2 high schools in the city of Warren, 1 high school in the city of Sterling Heights. The 2 high schools in Warren have Warren police officers. The high school that's in Sterling Heights has a Sterling Heights police officer. So each municipality funds it in that particular method. We're in a position now where that's not how it seems to be done here.
That's just has to do with jurisdiction.
Right.
We have countywide jurisdiction where the South Lyon guys would only have jurisdiction in the city, and
Right.
everybody should be real aware of that.
So I think we have a unique circumstance. I mean, you could take a look at Plymouth Canton schools. I believe that all 3 of the SROs in Plymouth Canton Salem are all from the same municipality. So, and I haven't analyzed their contracts to see where the breakdown is or their budgets and that type of thing. But we're in a unique circumstance because it's just where we are. And I don't think that I don't think that it has anything to do with cherishing children and protection. I mean, my 2 kids go to South Lyon High School. I want them protected. My son went to Centennial last year. I wanted him protected. But I don't believe that it's about, that at this point, it shouldn't be about should we step up.
Sure,
Lyon
sure.
Township
Nobody-
residents.
If nobody else steps up, it's always the good person to step up. Are you
Well,
kidding
yeah,
me?
but we haven't even asked the other communities. That's-
Sure we
that's what-
have.
I don't think it's our responsibility to ask the other communities.
Well, I believe that it's the school
It's
district's
the contract
responsibility.
that's in front of us is the contract that says that if you don't wanna pay the whole thing at East, if that's what you guys are talking about, that we have paid for years for them, that's what I don't understand. We've always paid the full our share, half of their share, plus the part for the officers for the additional weeks. If you're looking at the second contract, which is the high school, the South Lyon High School, it says right in this contract that there will be a municipality offset of $45,000. That's what this contract says. That's not our responsibility. That's what the school gave us. If the other communities don't participate in this schools, that's on them. This is what the contract says.
I
So
understand
I'm
that.
confused. So tell me, because I need to understand it, because last year you came to all the board and you wanted this. Now we're all in support of, and now you're not in support of. So please explain to me, which of these contracts don't you like, Sean? Because I want to know. Both? Neither? One? What?
Can you tell me how much we're paying?
Yeah, it's right here.
How much are we paying? What does municipal offset mean?
Right here,
All the
$45,000.
municipalities
It's
that are
the
kicking
other
it
two, it's the other two communities,
So we're-
25 and 20.
25
So
and
we're gonna
Right
pay
in this-
$7,260.
We will pay, the cost is 100 and, it's, for
Yeah.
one officer, it's 135. Okay? The schools will pay their, if you minus it for 40 weeks, the schools, we get them the rest of the time.
Yep.
Take that out, right? It's $104,520. That's what they'll pay. School will pay $52.60, they will pay $45, we pay the remaining.
So we're paying $7,260.
Yes, for this, for the plus hour rest
Right. That
of our
doesn't say
weeks.
that though.
But it's what it implies.
Well, if it breaks down the cost, why doesn't it
It's-
say
it's
what our
because-
cost is? It doesn't, I mean.
It doesn't, but that's what they do. It is what it is. I'm telling you, I've been through this a million times. Amy and I went through this contract, through the whole thing, and that's what is on this one. Now, this one is a different story. This is East, and this is the one we've always paid. So our share.
Always, this will be our third year.
Well, it was,
We're
but we
happy to
paid,
do it.
but we paid,
Sure.
we paid for RSO before.
Yeah,
When- I don't know,
2012,
it
yeah,
was
this was,
a
yeah.
long
We
time
had-
ago.
Oh,
we had
Yeah.
to take it
well,
out
we
because we couldn't
did. We had to
afford it.
take it out because we couldn't afford it because
Right.
the downturn came.
And the
But we've
schools couldn't.
always supported this.
And I still do.
So we are gonna pay, for this one, we're gonna pay $52,260.
Okay. Last year,
Plus our extra weeks that we get the officers.
right, what I'm saying, last year we didn't pay that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We paid 32,000 because Salem paid 20,000.
No, no,
it's
they're,
a
no,
municipality.
well,
That's
they,
their 20 and
it's the
25.
same dollar amount. They
But-
put it together.
Okay,
Like
but that's what I'm
they
asking
put
you
it
to do. I'm
together.
asking to put the
They
whole thing
Put it
together.
together, and that's, the school divided it up on a pro rata that way, but they put in 40, well, Salem put in 20, the, city
Earmarked
put in
for East.
25.
I think what they did is they just, because
They
we'd
just-
always paid for East, I think they added it to the South Lyon
They did,
contract because
but-
it never was, just because that's
really put 'em
in the city.
together.
I think they just put the
We build them
45
together. This is
there.
separate
I don't
contracts,
think
but
that
we
it-
put it together. We don't nitpick it's East and South Lyon High School.
Okay, but if they don't, so if you're saying that we're gonna pay
That's what we're
what we
gonna pay.
paid last year, which is the whole freight minus 45,000.
Right.
I'm okay with that as long as the school district guarantees to come up with the
That's,
45,000.
They are going
that's
to.
what the contract says. If they don't collect it, that's on them.
No, but that's not enough. I need to know that there's going to be an
Well,
SRO
That's a
in both
contract.
schools.
No, they will be.
But that doesn't
Well-
say that. It just says municipality offset, which is separate than the
But
line
that's
item.
up to them to get
But
it.
where is, I mean, is there anyone here from the school district right now to speak on this, to answer this? Because if that's not clear, I just want to make sure there's no confusion.
If you table this and nothing changes, what are you gonna do? Cancel the contract?
Well, I
not
have
do it?
questions that aren't answered tonight, so I expect that I'm
but
going to have
saying,
answers
you-
to my questions.
You know, what the- you know the answer to the question.
I
Well,
don't
I didn't
We
know
either
the
have
answer.
to deal with it or we don't.
I didn't know the answer because Patty just explained it based on the discussions that she had last year, but I didn't know that.
It's basically a billing situation too. We don't, when we build the schools, we just build the schools together. We don't say, this is for East, this is for the, South Lyon High. and we don't pay any of and they pay us back for the whole middle school. So that is how it works out to be. I mean,
I guess I want to know that for our contribution with our police force, we're getting all of the kids covered. That's what I want.
it's about the kids.
Yeah, but we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I have, the question I have to have answered is the $45,000 municipal offset. If nobody else pays any money,
Then they come up with it. The school has to come up with it. That's their obligation in the contract. It says that's their obligation. They have to come up with it.
I think they just put it all in the South
They
Lyon
told us.
High. They didn't break it
exactly.
down. They just
It's-
put it into the
they
South
are
Lyon
exactly
Highs.
the same contracts, right in there. I mean, you can look, you can see it, it's right here.
right, that just says 45,000 municipality
Municipal
offset.
offset,
Where
it's
does it
not
say?
our municipal offset.
I know, but where does it say in the contract that if they do not get that money, that the school district will pay that amount of money? Because the
Well,
contract
it's not
says
gonna
that they
come
will
from
pay.
us. Our contract is what we're gonna pay.
I understand, but what I don't want to have happen is they say, well, then we don't have the money to put an SRO at South Lyon High School, because that's not acceptable. So the contract says the school district will pay up to 50% of the portion each year. The school is in session approximately 40 weeks, which is half of about $104,000, $105,000. Then it just says municipal offset, 45,000. But
Yep.
it doesn't say who's going to come up with it, how much they're going to pay, or who's going to make up the shortfall.
We know who's.
John
gonna-
can tell you, we had a meeting with them last year, and we made it very clear that this is what the contract that we were gonna bring to the board, that's what it said. It's not exactly spelled out in that kind of detail that you want, Sean. I don't know if you wanna have Melissa come.
Well, I don't
That's
know,
up
if we
to
have a
you.
contract that's 10 pages long, I would think that kind of detail could be spelled out in it. I mean, if there, so that's I need to have the questions answered. I mean, I think all the municipalities should be stepping up to the plate and funding some portion of this, like was done last year. It would be disappointing if that was not the case, and
I think I don't see why they would not do it
And-
one year and then not do it the next. That's,
Right.
I guess that's my,
I mean, I
my
would
take
think that
on
the
it.
parents are gonna fill
Yeah.
boardrooms all over town if that's the case. You know, so I guess I don't know what to do without knowing exactly the answer to that question. I mean, I would say all of this subject to us not paying any more than for East and the $7,500 or whatever the difference was, $7,200, whatever.
Well, it went up a tad bit because of the.
Sure.
Because of the little
And I'm not
cost of
worried about
living.
the increase. And again, I don't think that we want different things at this table. I'm just talking about, I guess, I'm just trying to be fiscally responsible at the same time.
But we approved
Because
those
that's-
same contracts last year.
But
The
we
exact
knew-
same kind. So why didn't we?
Because
why
we
didn't you
knew
bring
last
up
year that we were
year?
going to get, yes, I
Why-
did. I did bring it up last year, because
Then-
we knew that we were going to get $45,000, and I don't know that we did it until August of
No.
last year.
We didn't know we were gonna get that. That's what they said they promised. That same thing, same scenario.
Okay.
They're probably
Yeah, they
taking them
did
to
do the
their
same
boards
thing.
now. I mean,
And
true or not,
they
I
very
know.
well, I mean,
was
this
there.
is the 1st of July, so in fairness, Salem probably hasn't met in July yet, and the city of South Lyon hasn't met in July yet, and they were
Again, it isn't up
participants
to
last
us.
year.
Well,
It's up to the school.
I'm just pointing out that I'm not saying they're not, I just don't have an answer to it.
Okay, it sounds to me, if I'm hearing correctly, that you do have a specific cost under these contracts that would be contributed by the township on each contract. Correct, Patty?
Correct.
So couldn't you simply do a motion approving the contracts up to those, each of those amounts and pass it?
I would say subject to there being full-time SROs at both high schools. Because I don't want there to be an option for them to say, we couldn't get the other 45,000, so here's your $7,200 back.
Well, because that's what happened before, isn't it?
No.
I mean, I thought that's
I don't
how
know.
we ended up having an SRO at South Lyon East and didn't have one at South Lyon.
I
Because there
think we
was that
just
time
sent,
period that we didn't have one at South Lyon High School.
Well, they didn't, yeah, what happened is back at the same, they did have one years ago there.
Right.
The
Oh,
same
yeah.
time we had it at East, but then times fell bad and the district couldn't afford it, the city couldn't afford it, the township couldn't afford it, so they were taken out of the schools.
But I thought, wasn't there a time where there was one at East and there was not one
Right,
at South
there
Lyon High
was.
School?
And then-
So I think that's what Sean and I have a
was 2
concern
years
about,
ago.
Right.
that we
Yes.
don't
2
want
years
to
ago.
have that happen.
Right. No,
where
I
we-
understand that, yeah.
Where we go forward with this contract and then if it happens where Sean has said there's a shortfall,
Yeah.
well, then we're not gonna put an officer there, because, I mean, I'll be
Then
honest,
then it's
both of
gonna
my
come
kids
back
go
to
there.
you.
What's that?
I mean, if you simply made a motion to approve up to the amounts that the contracts say, if it turns out the other municipalities don't contribute, it's gonna come back to you then, to make a decision what you wanna do.
Right.
But
That-
at least if they approve it in the meantime, it doesn't have to come back to you. I
Yeah,
mean,
we're-
if you're
Right.
agreeable to contributing the amounts that are shown,
And we're, really, it doesn't see, I know
Yeah.
school just got out and everybody, but we're short on
It's-
time because if we don't
Yeah.
get it, if it doesn't get done in
We start
August,
again in
then
September.
they start, the school officers actually start at the end of August. So we'd be short on time. It wasn't, there was no, I don't think anybody thought there was an issue last year. I don't remember when we passed, what month. I think it was in June. It was
I don't think it
before.
was
I
that
don't
early.
remember, June or July.
I think,
Or
I
maybe-
remember that we were really tight on time, though, for the
Were we?
I thought it was
officers
I can't
planning
remember.
to go to be ready at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
I
we were
recall that.
close. Yes, you're right. You're right.
So, I mean, I think that I absolutely, like I said before, I go to school every single day for my job, and I have that benefit and that security, and I like it. My children go to South Line High School. I like the benefit of the SRO in the building, the relationships that have been formed, and the comfort that students have in going to those officers, and the administrators have that extra level. And I don't know that I could be any more positive about that program than I am. I just wanted to, I had questions, just as Sean did, that I don't want us to end up in a problem if there's a shortfall somewhere along the way. So, that's, and I think that this is a very unique contract, different than what other SRO contracts are, because it's
Just
not,
one, right.
it's not done like the other
Right.
schools that I've looked at.
One
So it's-
municipality usually picks the district and the municipality. There's two entities involved in that.
Right. So this just seems, I think that's why I have more questions, because it's a little bit more convoluted than other circumstances.
I don't think it's convoluted at all, but that's just me. But, yeah, I find it ironic that you guys came to us last year and said, I can't believe the high school does not have an SRO. What can we do to get them in there? And we did it. We got them in there. And today, nothing has changed from last year to this year. And now the people who had nothing to do with it are trying to defend it.
Well,
I
John,
find that
I
crazy.
think that it's, when
Thank
you
you.
and I have a difference of an opinion, I don't think that it's not personal, and so for
I'm
you to
not
say.
taking it personal. I'm just
Well,
saying I think it's
I'm
kind of
taking it
funny.
personally, the way that you're kind of taking a shot at somebody who's asking a question about a contract, and I'm not here every day. We're reminded of that often, that as trustees, we're not here every day. So when somebody has a question, when I have township residents asking me why we are paying for something
Okay,
else.
got it.
All right,
What do you
so-
want to do with this? Let's do it. Let's just get this done.
are you at all, any of you concerned at all about the possible chicken and egg? Because, I mean, if this is on our agenda and we don't take action, so now it goes on to Salem's agenda or South Lyon's agenda. What if they say, well, we don't want to take action and approve our 25 for 20 until we know what Lyon's gonna do? I mean, somebody's gonna have to make that first decision. You know,
I'm fine with making a decision tonight. I just want to make sure that we're not going to have to pay for the entire officer like we had to do 2 years ago, without a contribution from the other municipalities. I know that it happened last year, that that there was a contribution. That's my concern. So if we have to be the first ones to say, yes, we're going to move this forward, I'm fine with that. I just feel like it's the responsibility of the school district to make sure that the other municipalities are funding it equally for the population that is there. We can't keep always bailing everybody out. Just because we happen to have the money doesn't mean it's the right thing.
Sure,
that we
it's the
just-
right thing.
Doesn't mean that it's the right thing to make sure that we have protection within the school. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that it's not right for us to just say, well, you know what, we can pay for the whole thing year after year after year. That's not fiscally responsible.
So why don't you make a motion that says that they have to have the SRO if you approve this contract? They can't bow out. They haven't signed it.
I have
They
a-
have to sign that.
I have a question. Lieutenant Venus, I had emailed you just asking about the dollar amounts in the contracts, and you confirmed those dollars. And so what it comes up with is $153,588. And that basically is the same as last year, and that includes all 3 officers full-time during the 12 weeks that school is not in session.
Correct.
So that's the dollar amount that we would.
For, 40 weeks, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's probably a few $1,000s more than last year because
It
of
was
the
point,
increase.
0.5%,
Something small.
half percent, yeah.
Increase
Exactly.
in their benefit package and their
Right.
salaries, right.
And it'll go up again next year, because we got the 3, but the schools are well aware of that. They put the little asterisk there to say we have to pay more come January 1st, so they're well aware of that. And we have to redo the contract, we have to redo the contract anyway, we have to sign another one. Well, no, they do it for the whole school year, that's right. We only had to do that the 1 year because it was a shortened year.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
we can make a motion that way.
yeah, I can make a motion to approve the school resource officer contracts in the amount of $153,588, contingent that all 3 officers are present.
I like that.
Support.
Yeah, throughout the school year.
Support.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Sorry you took that personal, Lisa. You should know.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying I'm sorry if you took that personal. Okay. Let's move on to the introduction of the final review for Aspen Trails, formerly known as Aspen Gate. Is that you? Right.
That's me.
Go ahead. Start out.
Aspen Trails, it's been a while since it's been in front of this board, but it is a 78-unit single-family home development on just under 44 acres on the west side of Martindale Road between Pontiac Trail and Grand River. Just briefly, this has gone through the 3 steps, or is on the 3rd of 3 steps. Conceptual review was completed by the Planning Commission in October of 2017, and the Township Board approved it conceptually in November of 2017. Then in the preliminary review stage, the Planning Commission held their required public hearing in July of 2018, and the Township Board unanimously approved their preliminary plan on August 8th of 2018. Then most recently, the final plan development plans pardon me, were reviewed in February of 2019 at the Planning Commission. There were several items requested for cleanup at that time, and it was subsequently tabled. This was picked up in on June 10th, 2019 at the Planning Commission, at which time they unanimously voted to recommend approval of the final PD to the Township Board. Since the last time that the Township Board has seen this in an official capacity, there have been some minor changes, the most significant of which is, and let's see if I can put it up on the screen for you. Leslie, would you mind hitting the Novo Connect on the left?
This?
Yes. Thank you.
Should probably use this one.
All right. I just want to make sure we're clear on the portion that has changed since we last brought this. If you look at my cursor here, the last time this was brought to the Township Board, there was an extension of this cul-de-sac, which had 4 lots on it. There were some concerns back and forth about protecting the neighboring properties from residential units that were close to those borders, so the developer went back to the drawing board and condensed the upper portion of the plan slightly. Same number of units, same overall project area, hence the determination that this didn't have to go back to preliminary, that it could just come to final review. So in terms of key numbers, the minimum lot width was decreased by 3 feet to 62 feet on this final plan. The minimum lot area changed slightly. It went down to 7,440 square feet from 7,800. Open space was actually increased because of this change. The separation between new lots and the property to the southeast has increased. The separation between the northernmost units and the northern property line has decreased a little bit, but in its place have been some restrictions on where structures can be built. The $50,000 voluntary contribution from the developer remains in place, and that will be contributed to the township in full, all 50, rather than in 2 phases like it was suggested previously, prior to the pre-construction meeting for the project. You'll see in your packet there's a revised cover page, which was one of the only changes to the plan that was required. Basically, the developer anticipates a spring 2020 start on this project, although tree removals would be done in advance of that, probably this winter. The number of trees removed on the site was reduced by about 150 trees, and tree replacements are still required in the total of 70 replacement trees. 70,000 would be that would be pretty significant. Okay, so Planning Commission understood that 70 was difficult to place on the site, and so they recommended the following. One, that a single one of those replacement trees be placed in front of Township Hall. The remainder of the 69 replacement trees will be contributed to the 11 Mile Park Fund for a total of $20,700. There's a change to the PD agreement that was requested by the developer and approved by the Planning Commission, that the elevations of the residential structures be modified a bit to be consistent with the Lime Preserve development. And what that means is a height of 4 feet of brick or stone on the front facade of the homes, and 18 inches of brick or stone on all sides and rear elevations. The plan development agreement has been prepared and revised several times to our satisfaction, and so that leaves very few open items for the Township Board to consider. We have, in our letter, you'll note that there are 4 conditions of approval that were recommended. The first being that the development schedule be updated and submitted, which has been completed. That 70 replacement trees be accounted for, as broken down previously in our review, and then the PD agreement has been prepared to reflect all required conditions, which we believe it has. And fourth would be that any requirements of the engineer and fire marshal be met. Any questions for me?
Any questions for Brian?
No.
Leslie, you have a letter in here. Is there any concerns that you have that you'd like to talk about?
No, none
other
at
than
this
your
time.
letter?
Nope, all of our items have been addressed.
Okay, Carol, you also had one in here. Is there all yours been addressed on this?
Yeah, Lisa's taking care of all that.
Oh, okay. Okay, that being said, we need to open this up for conversation, so does anyone have anything they want to talk about? Is the applicant here?
Yeah, that's very odd that Rick would not be here.
That's what I haven't seen him.
wonder if he doesn't know he's on the agenda.
I don't know.
He
That's
knows,
very odd.
he knows he's on the agenda because he dropped off all of the application
Why
materials.
wouldn't he be here?
That's what I'm wondering.
He
I
never
didn't see him here,
misses.
so.
No,
I mean,
that's
that-
unusual.
That's very unusual. I hope nothing happened.
That's what I wonder, because it's not
He's
characteristic.
just not like that, yeah.
Does anyone here have any questions that they would have asked Rick? Maybe somebody here could
I mean, if
answer the
he, I
question.
would want him to go on the record saying he agrees with all this
Oh,
stuff,
okay.
that'd be only,
So you want to,
I mean, I don't wanna table it, but I wanna hear that answer.
Well,
You know what I mean?
so there are 2 readings. This is essentially a change in zoning, so you will come
That's
back for
true.
a second reading, and we can make sure that he is present at the next
comfortable with that?
agenda, or at the next meeting.
Yeah.
I did have one question related to the trees, and Robert, you might be able to answer that. I know that it says so 69 trees would be going to the park. Given the park, that the 11 Mile Milford Park, that's where it would be headed, and given the master planning of that, do we have spots picked out, or do you guys have spots that, I know there's a lot of like fields and stuff that are master planned over there.
No, he's just giving us a contribution. He's
Oh,
giving
it's
us-
cash only,
he's
not
giving us
actually
Yeah.
planting
cash,
the
yeah,
Yes,
he's giving
cash.
us cash.
Okay.
Yeah.
The landscape planning hasn't really been done for that yet.
No, it's not.
So is it tied to the park, or is it just into a tree fund?
We didn't
That-
tie, I don't
okay.
think we tied it to
No,
the tree
there's a,
fund,
I
right?
thought there was a
We can use it for the
$50,000
township.
contribution
No,
to
we-
the
There,
park.
yeah, there's
We're
that,
getting the
but
50,000 paid up front.
Okay.
Thing. We're getting one tree for the township hall up here,
Mhm.
so we can have our Christmas tree lighting. And the rest, the 69 are gonna be times $300.
Okay.
And that's going into either our tree fund or the
You'd like
one.
to see it go in
we-
the park fund.
What's that,
But we
John?
couldn't designate that to the park fund. That would be up to the board, I think.
right, I guess that was my confusion.
I think it's this, I mean, that's what we had negotiated at the planning commission level. If you wanna put the 69 times 300,
It says in the PD agreement that they will go towards the 11-mile park fund.
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's the
So as-
20,700, which is the tree replacement, plus the contribution of 50,000, I think is in here too. Let me
So
just
it's,
double
it's
check.
the money, not necessarily the trees.
Right.
That's where I kind of had a question of,
That-
like, does
okay.
that then mean we have to use that much money towards trees at the site?
No, it's just going to the
Or
park fund.
just, okay.
I mean, you're gonna plant trees, but I
Well,
don't know. if
right,
you're
I don't think we're gonna be able to
forest area
fit
where you're gonna have
69
sports
trees
fields.
on the
That's
upland
exactly what I was
area,
kind of
but,
trying to figure it out,
right.
if it was just
Plus we need
cash
money for the
or
road.
trees.
Maybe
or
we need money
what.
for the entrance.
Yeah.
We need that money.
So
I mean,
if
is there anything in the tree protection ordinance, though, that would interfere with that? Because that's where, that was my question, I guess, of, can we do that? I like that idea better, but.
No,
Oh, you mean you're having problems?
it goes right into the fund
Okay.
for this agreement, so.
Well, I guess if this is first reading, we may work that out before
Mhm.
the second reading.
Yeah.
It was just a question, I just.
That's good.
So basically, you wanna
Retention
make sure
time.
that the trees, the money that's being contributed to the tree fund can be used.
Keep the water
For
shut.
anything.
Oh, for your.
But it's
In
not
the
a tree
11
fund,
mile
it's
park.
being contributed to the park fund,
Well,
is how
this-
you said it.
Right.
That's what.
That's what I was
yeah.
trying to figure
So
out.
yes,
Could,
that's
but
what
the- I
50,000
think
plus this.
The soil
Plus
is
the
actually
soil,
supported
70
being
something.
infiltrated
Yeah.
into the ground.
700.
Sandy
And-
soil, so I
and a
don't
tree
think they'll
here.
have enough water to
And a
use
tree
it.
here. Because there was,
Carve
cons-
that
If it's
out?
working
I
the way it
concerned if
should.
it was to be used only for
Based on
trees
the
at the
data
park, that we wouldn't be able to fit them in.
Right.
No.
So, okay.
Rhoda's green pond is not pretty.
You wouldn't have a soccer field.
Right.
It does note for the park fund, you say this is for the.
All right, somebody want to carve a motion out for that?
Make a motion to move, I will make a motion to move AP 1740 Aspen Trails to second reading, subject to the review letters in the packet.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to Hampton Manor Special Land Use for Assisted Living Facility.
Thank you, John. The the applicant in this case is Macomb Investors Land Holding, and they do have representation here tonight. This is a 76-unit senior assisted living facility on 8.24 acres on the west side of Pontiac Trail, north of Brookway Drive. The site is zoned R0.3, in which senior housing and assisted living facilities and similar uses are permitted by special land use. The Planning Commission has had a few cracks at this plan and has recommended site plan approval at their June 10th meeting. And at that time, they also recommended special land use approval to the Township Board. Both of those were on 6-1 votes. Now, in terms of reviewing the special land use, there are 9 criteria in the ordinance that are applicable to all special land uses. And I'll give you a brief summary of those and some brief analysis as well. So the first being that it is compatible with adjacent uses. Surrounding this site to the north, to the west, and to the south are all large lot, single-family residential lots. To the east is large lot, single-family as well, partially agricultural uses. In terms of something that I find relevant on this particular property, a senior living facility such as this is actually permitted 20 units per acre. So there could be, per the ordinance, 165 units on this site. And we're looking at a little under half of that with 76. So that is something to consider in terms of compatibility. Compatibility with the master plan. The subject site is designated as single-family residential C on the future land use plan, which corresponds with R0.5 and R0.3 zoning districts, again, which permit senior housing as a special land use. In terms of public services, the site will be supplied by public water and sanitary sewer. I know Leslie has some comments on the adequacy of those. In terms of an impact on traffic, we've got several estimates here. This use does not require a traffic impact study, and the Planning Commission did not require it as part of making their determination. But we estimate that we would see about 220 vehicle trips per weekday based on trip generation standards. If we look back at Maynard Meadows, when that was proposed on this site, there were, correct me if I'm wrong, 12 single-family units on that site, and anywhere between 10 and 12 trips per day are associated with that use. So we're looking at anywhere between 80 and 100 additional units from what we could expect based on a single-family development at this site. In terms of detrimental effects, there are a couple things to consider. The applicant has made changes to the circulation pattern on site to try to keep as many vehicles as possible in the front on the Pontiac Trail side of the structure, and has gone to a unidirectional traffic pattern around the site, around the structure, with a cul-de-sac turnaround in the southeast corner of the site, with the intent being that we would minimize, or we would see minimized traffic, headlights surrounding the facility, so on and so forth. Deliveries were described to the Planning Commission as a single delivery per week, one morning. So from that aspect, we will not see a lot of heavy trucks traveling through the site. The photometric plan shows that all of the lighting levels at the property line will be non-existent, so there will not be light impasse on adjacent properties. And we can scroll down to the landscape plan also, which is pretty significant. There's buffering on the north and south property lines, as well as the eastern property line that borders this residence right here. In terms of isolating an existing use, this is one of the standards applied to all, which does not apply in this instance. This is a standard that hopes to retain continuity and not put a single family subdivision in the middle of a bunch of commercial or industrial uses. There's also a basis on need in terms of a criteria, and we recognize that there is similar demand all throughout Oakland County, all throughout the Detroit metro area for these specific types of uses, and we're seeing something similar with Pearl down the road. Although they're not direct competitors in this instance, it's an assisted living facility versus more advanced age living, independent living. In terms of economic well-being of the community, We note that we don't find that the proposed use will have detrimental economic effect on the community. We found no research to indicate that it does have an impact in terms of adjacent uses. We heard that there were some comments from the public hearing held by the Planning Commission that noted concern that the facility will negatively impact their property values. So that is something for you to weigh. We do note that it fills a need in terms of this type of housing. We don't have a lot of these in the township. In terms of compatibility with the natural environment, the existing wetland on the west portion of the site will remain, and the 25-foot wetland buffer in the front and rear yards is being retained as it exists today. And then there is also a wetland portion that comes off of Pontiac Trail along that frontage, which is why there's this nice bump out in the sidewalk along Pontiac Trail. If you have any specific questions for me at this point in time, I'm happy to answer them.
Anybody have anything from Brian? All right, Leslie, do you have anything on this or not really?
I don't have the letter regarding the special land use that's before you tonight, but I did want to mention to you that at the public hearing at the Planning Commission, residents to the north expressed concerns about water, which we've talked a lot about already tonight, and just over the last couple of months, the amount of rainfall that we've had in the state and in the township. Since that meeting, I did send an email to the DEQ. There were some pretty compelling drone photos of the site taken by the neighbor, and I did send it to the wetland and floodplain divisions of the DEQ just to confirm that the wetland permit that was previously applied for Maynard Meadows is still active, and that the DEQ does actually confirm the delineation that's on the wetland side. They did confirm that, yes, they do confirm the delineations when they issue the permits, and they would consider that permit still good and valid. They would have to submit an amendment because the project's different, but I would expect it to be approved. Regarding the floodplain, the applicant would have to submit something to DEQ showing that the tributary area for the site is less than 2 square miles. It's a lot of technical info, but what it does is if it's less than that, there are certain requirements. If it's more than that, there are others, and that has not occurred yet. If special land use is approved tonight, that is something the applicant would still have to go through those steps, as well as detailed engineering. From an engineering perspective, the site does meet the engineering standards, and the floodplain map that they show on the plans is what has been published by FEMA. So we have confirmed those things. I just wanted to give you that background in case you've read the minutes, and if you've seen those resident concerns in your packet as well.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, is the applicant here? How you doing?
Good evening. My name is Bill Thompson from Lehner Associates. I'm here with Fred Said and Sam Martin from Hampton Manor. We'd be willing to respond to any questions you might have. I've got the original PowerPoint presentation if you want to go through that.
Well, I guess first I'd like to open it up. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Do you want to start?
I just want to squeeze down.
No?
Not right now.
You want to watch PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, let's watch that.
Bill, do you want to give it to me since I'm already connected up?
Hmm?
Do you want to run through it, or I'm happy to click through for you if you want to do that? I'll be your bayonet tonight.
Okay, the first slide, just a location map showing the site. And that's the blow-up showing, you'll see the pond itself, and if you can kind of make out the wetland boundaries. They'll show up later on in other drawings. There's a house on the site now, lower left-hand corner of the parcel. Then there's another house that's on the adjacent parcel in the upper right-hand corner. That house exits out onto the driveway. They share the driveway. When we develop our site, we'll be providing them with access to our driveway so that they won't have to mess with trying to get out on Pontiac Trail Road and have two driveways side by side. That's not a good idea, so. Okay. It's a copy of the site plan. And the landscape plan. Those are the elevations for the site. It's kind of two buildings connected by a hallway. One building, the smaller section is memory care unit. The balance of the site is assisted living. As a general rule, the people in the assisted living, they don't have cars. Okay, they have visitors, but they don't have cars. So the parking for this site, I think, is a one for four.
It's low. Your requirement
Yeah.
is 31 spaces, and 34 are shown on the site plan.
Right. So the parking requirements are low because there's not much traffic generated by the individuals there. Landscape plan. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead. This is a floor plan. The upper part is your memory care units. The balance of it is the assisted living portion. There's courtyards in the middle so that every unit has windows out in the open area. The courtyards have trees, have walking paths. I think there's a putting green in the one in the upper right-hand portion of the site. In the middle there, that's connected by the hallways, that's where the amenities are. That's where the dining room is, a recreation area. There's a salon, other stuff. We'll have pictures of those in just a minute. Okay, go ahead. That's the lighting plan. Okay, this is the Davison site. They have several of these in existence right now. And they're all pretty much the same as far as architecture. This is a picture of the Davison site. I'm not sure how long that's been opened.
My name is Sam Martin. I'm the vice president for Hampton Manor. Davison building, that's been open now for about 3.5 years now. So like you said, we have several of these communities throughout Michigan. And we do a lot of research with our residents, and we get their impact and feedback on things, as well as the local communities in the surrounding areas as well. That's the retention pond for Davison. We kind of turn it into a fountain. Real nice area to walk around. We actually put some benches and so forth in case people want to kind of sit out there and enjoy the view. Outside dining area, that's right off in the main dining room. This way they can go outside. We have patio tables and umbrellas normally out there. This picture was taken in the early spring before that actually got out there, but we have several different outside sitting areas. This is one off to the west of the building. There's another one on the east side, and then of course there's courtyards as well too. That's a little kitchenette area in the apartments. The full bathroom. They're barrier free, so if you notice the shower, that's barrier free. They can walk right in there. No need for stepping over anything. Nice safety feature as well as grab rails all the way around as well. Another angle of it. That's the kind of the living room, dining room combination. One of the typical views of the apartments. A little bedroom area, sleeping area there. Living area. That's one of the main dining rooms. And we have, in each building, we have several dining rooms. We don't have one big dining room for people to go. I feel it kind of feels like a food court at a mall. This is just one of the dining rooms. On the other side, there will be another one. In memory care, they'll have their separate dining rooms as well, too. This way, it's more of a personalized service, more of one-on-one. If they have family that want to come and join them as well, too, they can do so as well. That's a private dining room. So they can have birthday parties, they can have private conferences, different things there as well. So, but just a nice area for them to go and enjoy. That's one of the living rooms. You can see there's a grand piano there. Families can play that. Entertainers come in right off the main dining room. But if you notice all the features throughout the building, even the ceilings, we have lots of different formats. We just don't build a very basic building. We have the wainscoting throughout. The stone-like features and so forth. We want them to feel like it's their home. That's a puzzle room. That's part of the library. Off to the left, that is not in the picture, is all bookshelves and so forth that families bring in, and they can volunteer by donating books, and then people can check them out and share that sort of thing. That's another dining or another living room on the other side. A little different color in the fabric of the couches and so forth, just to kind of differentiate things. That's the movie theater. Beauty salon. That's a sunroom. That's at our Bay City building. So we have different, like I said, different areas for families to go and enjoy. We don't necessarily want them to live just in their apartments. We want them to live throughout the entire building. We want them to feel proud of where they're at, and they can go and enjoy the building throughout. That's a mural we had painted. We were going to put up some pictures, and we asked the residents, what would you like? And they said a picture would be kind of nice. So we got an artist in there, and we talked to the residents, and that's what picture they chose. It's kind of three-dimensional. It's kind of neat. A picture. This doesn't do any justice, but it was absolutely beautiful. Another view of the living room there, and if you notice in front in that window, that's another outside seating area that they can kind of go out and enjoy. Another angle of a different living room. That's one of the courtyards. A little gazebo there for the families and so forth to kind of go out and enjoy. If you notice the apartments with the patio doors, they can go out. There's areas that they can plant tomato plants, they can plant flowers, they can go and enjoy. It's not a very good picture, but there's a center fountain in the middle too that is kind of bubbling forth, which is kind of nice. And that's a bird's eye view of our Brighton building. That was before completion, that's before all the landscaping and so forth. And that's our Bay City building that we just looked at a moment ago with the middle fountain. You can kind of see how the courtyards are set up where they can walk around, lots of different green areas and so forth. And that's the Davison building there, courtyard. You see the little putting green off to the side. It's kind of small there, but yep, oh, there you go. Yep, little putting green. They enjoy that. The residents enjoy more when grandkids come in and they play around on that. And we can enjoy that as well too. I think that was it. Any questions for me at all?
Okay, let's open it up. You guys got some questions? Anyone want to start?
I have questions for Patty,
Well,
because
I want to speak first. So
that's
what
why I was
were
gonna,
you-
I was gonna ask.
Because I was the one descending vote.
Yes.
I know, so I'll explain. I don't like that there's 3 sides of residential around it. And they're large lots, and this isn't zoned for that. I know it's residential and it's allowed there, but I just really don't see it. I feel like it's crammed in. I don't think it's enough parking because Abbey Park doesn't have enough parking now there. If you go there for any time, there's no parking. This has like 0 parking, hardly any. And then the fire chief was in the other day, and I got out the plan because I'm so concerned about that one way, that you can only go around it one way. I wish Ken were here tonight, but he's on vacation. But he had a huge concern about that one-way area that goes around. He was fearful that he couldn't get to especially the memory care he was worried about. And if any of that's blocked, can't get around. You have to go, around. It's a one-way around. So I'm just telling you how I feel. Those were my concerns, and I cannot support it. For me, it worries me desperately about what's going around that.
Okay.
Joe, I just want to point out that, and that has nothing to do with the comments. Can we get the fact that this fixed, that I can't even access any, like my screen's blank again and it's just spinning. So
That's what mine was doing.
I can't see any of this online material that's been provided during the meeting, and so I just wanted to throw that out there because I can't really comment about pages of plans, or I wasn't able to look at some letters, but I'm just kind of flying blind right now without having all of it available. Again, it seems like every meeting that we keep getting the spinning wheel of Does anybody else have it on their screen, in their PC materials?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
It's intermittent.
Sal, do you have any comments about
I
this?
do, but I mean, they're not
Go
nearly
ahead.
as detailed, I think. So I would kind of mirror what Patty had to say. You know, we talk about, this is in an R.3 single family. And, you know, I understand that it's permitted uses for special, and this is one of the special land use items, but one of the big items that I keep thinking about broadly is that in this zoning area, that it should not, it would prohibit something that would substantially interfere with development or quality of life in this district. And I think in this particular location, with this particular neighborhood, it's just shoehorned in, and I believe that this would have a negative impact on the quality of life of the surrounding areas. I have nothing negative necessarily to say about the product or about its need. I'm always talking about needing senior housing, but I believe that, you know, I think it will have a negative impact on the quality of life of your neighbors of this project. And then I took a look at the provisions of the article, like 12.01B. One of the provisions shall be that the minimum requirements for the promotion of public health, safety, and convenience, comfort. So it goes back to what Patty had to say about the health and safety, not only of the residents in this community, but also the employees. If there's a medical emergency for an employee at this facility, it doesn't really, there's not a whole lot of room where this has been kind of shoved in. I drove past Cambrian of Lyon the other day, and it's nice, and it's open, and there's some, as far as its distance from that facility to the neighboring facility, or the neighboring homes. I mean, on one side there's the the grocery store, et cetera. But I really think that this particular location puts the health and safety of not only the residents, the future residents there, the employees there, but also the surrounding areas for the existing township residents. And I think that we talk about this a lot with our existing neighbors and the adjoining parcels. They expect that it's going to be homes. They don't expect that this is going to be like, I lost the number of how many beds in this facility or how many apartments in this facility.
I think there's 65.
It's 76.
Is it
on the
76?
plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
76?
Minus the memory, you're right.
So nobody expects that that they would have, what, instead of 12 homes behind them, that they're gonna now have 76 bed facility. And I do think that the neighbors who did come, I had a couple of items for letters, that this would negatively impact their property values. And then I had some concerns with the McKenna letter dated 6/24. I really don't think that this is compatible at this particular location where it's just crammed into a tiny little spot. And I just needed some questions about the difference between the traffic. Would the traffic impact be greater or less with assisted living versus homes? I lost track of what you had said.
Right. Based on ITE standards, we're estimating that this would be more intense in terms of usage than a single-family development.
And so if you're taking a look at that Pontiac Trail corridor, I mean, that is especially right down there at 8 Mile and Pontiac Trail, it's already really heavy traffic. So to have this product come in where it's more intense traffic than what would be present than homes, that's a big concern. I also had concerns with the impact on drainage, the water issues, and then, as Patty mentioned too, regarding the fire department, how would this have an impact on the number of runs? With Abbey Park and Cambrian of Lyon, there are quite a few runs. I would guess that there would probably be more fire department calls at this facility than would be at a 12-home neighborhood. And the last two items that I had, there was a letter dated 3/5/19, Sharon Zaman, and there were some concerns. I just don't know if those were adequately addressed. And I can't tell you what was in that letter because I can't view it anymore. And then there was a concern, I believe it was, is it Allen Court? There was a man by the name of Gary Gale, and his letter was dated 3/7/19. And I don't know that it was dealing with water issues. And I don't know if that has been addressed, but those two resident letters really stood out to me as having those negative impacts to such a dense use located so close to these homes, and they're septic and well, so I don't know if there's gonna be an additional impact to that. It would be one thing if it was a wider part of Pontiac Trail, and it seems like completely the wrong place for this. And that's really all the comments I have right now. Or I don't have any real questions aside from those two letters if their concerns were addressed.
John, you got anything? Would you like to add anything?
No.
Nothing? Okay. How many employees would you have here?
All at once or all together?
All at once, just as one shift.
One shift. Per shift, probably, I'd say maybe 12. You know, that includes cooks to managers, you know. And shifts usually go from 7 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 to 11, 11 to 7. So that's really the main traffic lines, is going to be those times there. And it's not that many people coming and going all at the same time. It's not like a factory where everybody leaves at the exact same time. Families, unfortunately, don't visit a lot. And that's the whole premise and point of what we're doing and why we have this building, is because the families don't have time to take care of them and they're not there visiting. So I'm not trying to disagree with his numbers going in and out, but I think that's extremely high. Based upon, you know, I run these buildings too. I don't know if it's okay if I address some of these concerns.
Go ahead.
As far as the concern is the fire truck going around the building, that's only going to be if the building catches on fire. That's the only time any fire truck is going to go around that building.
No.
Yeah. If an emergency comes in, they're going to come into the front of the building. That's where the ambulance comes in at the very front of the building.
That's not what our fire chief told me.
So
I'm just
the
saying.
whole point of going around the building is to put out the fire around the building. The fire truck isn't going to drive in and drive around and just start picking people up. If an ambulance comes in and gets called, they come right to the front of the building.
Can a fire truck go in through the front, what you're at?
Of course, of course, yes. And we make it 14 feet high just for that very reason. So we have those around, they're called fire loops, and we've never had a vehicle ever go around. We have to maintain them, we have to plow them, we have to keep them. But all the years I've been running these, which have been close to 10 years now, we've never had anybody ever use that loop. And of course, it's kept clear. No one can go on it. So yeah, if an emergency happens where a resident needs an ambulance, they're going to come to the front of the building. They're not going to drive around the building.
I'll go with our fire chief's opinion.
I'm just saying, I wish Ken were here, but.
Right.
I guess I'm a little confused about that, because the letter in the packet from the fire marshal didn't say anything against it, but you talked to the fire chief
I talked
more
to Ken.
recently.
Well, I showed him the plan because I was concerned about, I didn't like the one-way, the direction. And so I opened the plan for him and he said he would have some concerns about, especially getting into that memory care. If there were a delivery truck there or multiple delivery trucks, if they had to go around to get them. I'm just telling you what Ken said.
Okay. No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with any of that.
I'm not making this up. I'm just sorry he's not here today. And now Doug's gone, so. But I specifically spoke to Ken.
Okay, and maybe there's something that changed between the February 21st letter from the fire marshal on it then.
And the only time we have delivery is once a week
didn't have that one
at the
way.
front of the building.
I don't know.
And that's at 7 o'clock in the
That's
morning,
new plan
so.
Either.
My understanding in the fire truck thing too is, it's one way like that, so I assume it's narrower, and if a single car blocked it. they couldn't
No
get there.
one can park on that. It's only set up just
I know
for
they
emergency.
can't. Not supposed to, but that happens, things happen. That's why you have a fire department.
That's true with anything in life. I mean, they don't want them parking in front of fire hydrants either, but this building is going to be staffed with management in there, and No one's ever parked on them in the 10 years that I ran them. And as far as property value goes, I have a friend of mine that's a realtor, and I'd like to hear from a realtor. I don't think it's going to decrease the value of their homes. I really don't. And this is what she told me.
I've spoken with real estate agents, and I've asked them regarding this particular plan, what would this do to a person's property value? And the 2 real estate agents who I've spoken with have said that it would have a negative impact.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can have.
And I heard the opposite, so that's okay.
Right.
Yep.
So I
It's
guess.
a mindset, of course. I don't know how this would decrease. It's like if a school was, you're living behind a school or a church. You know, that's not going to decrease your value of your home, a school or a church. I could see if it was a biker bar, you know, where motorcycles and Harley Davidsons are coming in and out. But this is where you want your mom, your grandma, your aunt, your uncle to live. They want to live in a subdivision. They want to feel part of a community. You know, they don't want to be out and looking at a back of a, you know, gas station or something like
I didn't
that.
say that it's a back of a gas station. I'm saying, like, for instance, Cambrian of Lyon. It's a very pretty facility. Yes, they're near a grocery store, but they don't look out on the grocery store. Cambrian is a very nicely placed, situated building. Same thing with, you know, Abbey Park, although I know it's not necessarily the same product. I think that this product, really just about anywhere else, would probably, I wouldn't have half of these comments. It's just like dropped into the middle of a neighborhood where it's just crammed right in.
That's where we'd want your grandma or your mom to live. That's why we chose this. This is the best of the best in this
Our
area.
residents were there first.
Pardon?
Our residents are there first.
And so were
They're-
your loved ones, which
they're
we're trying to
already
place
there
a home
first.
for. Your loved ones, your aunts, your uncles, your grandma, your grandparents live in this community. We want them to live in the best part of this community, is all we're doing. So.
Right, but you're also putting this at 8 Mile and Pontiac Trail, which has an abysmal traffic pattern. Have you been there at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the evening to see how far backed up it is south of 8 Mile? Because anybody coming up from Ann Arbor is stuck about a half a mile trying to get through that 8 Mile and Pontiac Trail intersection. And when you're dealing with potential emergencies that are at this location, that's just a recipe for disaster. I believe that it is in the wrong place. I'm not asking for it to be behind a gas station.
Okay, Sean, you got
I do. I'll agree with basically everything that's been said concern-wise. There's definitely a need for this kind of product, and there's nothing wrong with what it looks like. It's where it's at. I mean, I think it's misleading to say, you know, the lot coverage is, I mean, it is what it is, but it basically takes up almost every bit of usable area with the footprint of the building and the parking lot, because the rest is wetland. So I look at it as, it feels like 80% or 85% lot coverage wedged right in the middle of, you know, a neighborhood on 3 sides, or different neighborhoods, but effectively it'll be easily seen. You know, if I moved there, I would expect that it's zoned R3 and that there would be another neighborhood like mine behind me. That would be my expectation. So I don't want to live by a school. I don't want to live by a church. Those are your examples. And I don't want to live by this. I mean, that's my preference. So you'll ask us all, and I guess we'll have different opinions. I guess where I look at this is there are 9 standards that we have to evaluate. And in my opinion, your plan is in conflict with 3 of them. Number 1, compatibility with adjacent uses. Number 4, impact of traffic. And number 8, economic well-being of the community, and in particular, the immediate community. I would say that there are probably a handful of other sites where this would be great. That's not our job to make that determination, but you know, it's something that I'd like to see here in Lyon Township, but not on this site, unfortunately. I mean, that's just my feeling.
Chris?
Well, I guess looking at this site, I have, you know, there are people that moved there. The property had a previous site plan approval of about, I think it was 11 or 12 homes in there.
It's 12.
12 homes that were there that came through. And that was what zoned our 0.3, which is what some of the adjacent uses are, at least to the west and south. The north are larger lots. I've actually been down Allen Court years ago to actually look at their detention pond in it was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I'm aware of what they've dealt with out there. There's actually that pond is next to a driveway that you know, because of the high groundwater and everything, it's starting to erode that underneath that driveway as well. So I guess with this type of product, what I'm getting at is, all those people there were figuring it was going to be something like 11, 12 homes, not, a big, memory care facility, home. Nothing against the product, but I have to agree with Sean on the special land use criteria is 1, 4, and 8 that, especially number 1, that it doesn't meet the compatibility requirements.
So I guess you could see kind of what direction the board is kind of going in. I think we all agree that it's a nice product and we'd like to have it in the neighborhood. It's just probably in the wrong place. And I think that's what we hear here. So, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny AP 19-08B due to the fact that when reviewing the special land use standards, I find it to be in conflict with standards A1, A4, and A8 specifically.
I'll support.
Okay, anything else you want to talk about? All right, let's call this one by roll.
Patricia Kirkland?
Yes.
Christopher Enlow?
Yes.
John Dolan?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
Lisa Blair?
Yes.
Sean Murphy?
Yes.
Sorry about that. All right, let's move on to the zoning ordinance text amendment on swimming pools. Do we all kind of know where this one came from?
Right.
So, do you want to talk about this a little bit, Brian, before we go ahead and put it through?
Yep, I can. I'll be brief. If you have significant questions, let me know. But basically, we're trying to correct an identified deficiency where a smaller lot, call it 19,000 square feet, actually is allowed to have a larger pool than somebody at 21,000 square feet for the lot size. So trying to get those things addressed. What we are proposing and what the Planning Commission recommended was that we use the standard, we maintain the 60% lot coverage as it is today, but what we would do is we're taking 60% of the total floor area of a principal structure on a residential property rather than taking into account the actual size of the property. We're making it equal in terms of ratio with your primary home is what we're intending to do there. And we're also, if you recall, the existing language in the ordinance talks about for those large lots, you have a parcel size multiplied by 900 in terms of acres is what you arrive at for your maximum lot coverage. We're just going to call it 2%. Clears things up. It's a much more common way to identify that max lot coverage for a residential property. Those are the highlights. I'll take specific questions if you have them.
Is there any questions about what this is all about?
No, I appreciate you fixing it because
Okay.
it was just a kind of a snafu. It's pretty straightforward to me.
Okay, a motion be in order if no one has any questions.
Make a motion to move the closed amendment to section 18.03. There's not an AP number, is there?
There is
Why am I
not.
not seeing it? Okay. I guess I could just look at the agenda and there it is, right? Okay, I'll make a motion to move AP 19-16 to second reading.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this should be an easy one. This is the Pumpkin Fest Parade Road Closure.
Doesn't
We do
get
this
much
every
easier.
year. Looks like the same wording.
Yeah, I can't believe Phil still has a typewriter.
It is a typewriter, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. No, it's true. I'm impressed. I shouldn't say so. I'm impressed.
I'll make a motion to approve the Pumpkin Fest paved road closure suggested by Phil Wypert and the committee,
Second.
Pumpkin Fest Committee.
Second, John?
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the moratorium. I'm sorry, it's getting worse here. The moratorium for the off-premise sign, advertising signs. And we know why we're doing this also, I believe.
We're still working on amendments to the signed ordinance, so we need another extension.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2019-20.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on. This is for the peddlers and the canvassers, solicitors to adopt the new chapter 32. Does everybody look at that?
Yeah.
It's just a new application.
Well, it's a combination of the introduction of the ordinance, and I think she's enclosed the application as well that would go along with peddlers.
Yes.
Basically, just to update, your existing ordinance based on changes in the law.
Okay, everybody understand that?
Yeah, I had a few questions on
Go
this
ahead.
one. So there was and I can't get it up on the website. I thought I downloaded it. I apologize. So I'll try and describe what I put in here. There are several references in the ordinance about voluntary notification.
Yes.
But then it says if that's not adhered to, it could be considered a violation of the ordinance.
Correct.
So how, I guess.
It's not a violation of the ordinance.
It's not a violation.
It's not. Basically, U.S. Supreme Court decisions have come down that say to require a solicitor or canvasser to come in and file and get a permit like we do for peddlers violates the First Amendment. So we can't have the same requirements as we do for the peddlers. But what we try to do is say, look, we know we can't make you do this, but we would appreciate it if you would let us know. And generally, people will let you know, but we couldn't make it a violation if they don't, because that would violate the First Amendment.
Okay. So it's voluntary notification,
Yes.
it's not a violation?
Right.
Okay. So there was a section 3222 reference. I have a comment about, what about the produce stands? Are those covered in this? Or those
You're
more
talking
the-
about like farmers markets and things
Right.
like that?
Well, like, cause we have a couple that set up shop around the township. Are those under this ordinance?
Well, I guess technically it could be a peddler. That's a good question. I mean, because it's selling wares. Do we have, Brian, do we have separate regulations on those like farm stands?
Well, we treat them as temporary uses or special event applications, really is how we treat them right now.
Okay.
Per the zoning ordinance.
All right, let me travel by foot or automobile.
Yeah, it was section 3222.
Yeah, peddling though is defined as traveling by foot or automobile from place to place to do this kind of stuff. So 23 or 32, what is it, 23?
32, 22.
22.
I got it.
Then deals with fixed stands, no peddling. Yeah, okay, yeah. They wouldn't qualify as a peddler. That kind of a thing, yeah.
Okay, so they wouldn't be in this ordinance. They'd
Right. If you want, I could add a sentence clarifying that for the second reading.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Carol, I think there's a spot that says you can only sell what you produce on that property. I thought I saw it.
Yeah, that's there's one that's 6A4, section 32 6A4. That was another one I was going to mention, that it says something about just to change that to be, I guess, more he and himself to he, her, and himself, herself. Is the farmer, it sounds like it was related to farming.
Yeah, right. So that they're exempt from the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're saying the same things, but I will qualify them.
Okay. And then the last point of just clarification is that, from my understanding, so it said like for the canvassing section cannot be restricted based on a subdivision, but it can be restricted per residence.
Correct.
Just making sure I don't violate it. Canvassing.
Let me put it this way, that issue's presently before the court, but there
yes.
is no dispute that an individual can post on their own property, and if posted, you cannot violate that. It's
Correct.
my position that you can also do it as a group, but to the extent that you can do it yourself and protect yourself, I'm not gonna get you in a situation where, we have to wait for the court to come out and rule on it, so, okay?
That's all I had.
All right, I got those couple changes noted.
We're gonna be doing some canvassing tomorrow. You should canvass over the long weekend.
Well, you know, Girl Scout cookies and stuff. You know.
Can you give me a deal?
Okay. You want to make a motion with the amendments?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, all you have to do is introduce it. I'll make the changes and bring it back next time, so.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion for the consideration of the introduction of ordinance 08-19 with the discussions today. That's chapter 32, peddlers, canvassers, and solicitors.
Okay.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to the consideration to purchase the security system for the water treatment plant. This was the, by the way, they started installing the security system in here today. So they started pulling all the wires. This turns out to be about $93.11 for the cameras in the security system. So I would like to go ahead with the same guy and have him do the water treatment plant for, if you could give me not to exceed 10 grand, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, we bid him out, and he was by far the cheapest.
Wait.
And we're using that same type of unit pricing, so
Yeah.
I'm completely comfortable with this, and I appreciate you getting it to us so quickly, because this is pretty critical.
It is very critical.
I think when you're dealing with water and having security on that, and it's definitely a need.
Important.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve All Star Alarm LLC to install the security system at our, is this just the Woodwind, John?
Yes.
For right now, the
For
Woodwind?
right now, yep.
The Woodwind Well House, not to exceed $10,000.
Okay.
I'll support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, moving on to the closed session area.
Okay, I'll make two motions. The first is, I will make a motion that we enter closed session for consideration of a closed session to discuss acquisition of property where no option has yet been obtained in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268D.
Do we want to make these motions?
I think they have to be separate.
Yeah. let's do them
Okay, do we have a second on that one?
I'll support.
Or would you please call this by roll?
Yes.
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 Okay, I'll make a motion that we move into closed session to discuss pending litigation, Cambridge of Lyon LLC v. Charter Township of Lyon, Oakland Circuit Case Number 2018-168390CZ, in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268E, as an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigation or settlement position of the township.
Okay.
I'll support.
Support, would you call this by roll, please?
Yes.
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 Okay, adjourn to closed session.